Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. This video today I'm going to discuss kind of an interesting turn of events that came to my attention through the Zero Hedge website, and it basically concerns retweeting, how the FBI looks at retweeting, and we're going to discuss some of the Fifth Amendment implications of retweeting. So the title, and it's coming off the Zero Hedge website by way of Gizmodo.com, authored by Kate Nibbs via Gizmodo.com. The title of the article is "The FBI Confirms Retweets Are Endorsements," in quotes. Retweets are endorsements. To quote, remember when people put that quote-unquote RTs not equal endorsements disclaimer on their Twitter bios, like that would offer some form of protection from being associated with what they retweeted? Well, a retweet can be seen as an endorsement. It can also apparently be used as evidence that you're trying to join ISIS. 22-year-old Queens resident Ali Saleh was arrested this week following an FBI investigation into his attempts to join ISIS. According to the complaint against him, Saleh began tweeting his plans in 2013. Saleh's retweets came up repeatedly in the complaint as cause for arrest. Many of the specific examples given are times Saleh retweeted others from his various Twitter accounts. On August 25, 2014, a few days before the reservation was made, Twitter account A reposted or retweeted the following message originally posted by another user, and they quote the message. On June 17, 2015, Twitter account B retweeted the following message, and they quote the message. On October 5th, 2015, Twitter account D retweeted an audio message, and they quote, and they have that. And then finally, the FBI has been using retweets as evidence against Twitter happy ISIS wannabes in other cases as well. And I really urge anybody who's really interested in this to check out that article for themselves. The underlying stuff in this case, I think, is not overly noteworthy. But I do think I find it rather interesting in sort of the digital world in which we live in and the social media saturated world in which we live in, just how unaware people are, of their rights, and how unaware people are of, I find it interesting, it almost seems like people don't realize that they're publicly stating something, you know, and it makes some sense because psychologically you're at your computer, you know, you're isolated physically, but when you put something out into the Twitter sphere, everyone can see that. You know, Facebook is very similar. You may be able to filter certain things, but I mean, for practical purposes, anything you put on the internet, you ought to view it as out there, okay? As publicly, it's like shouting off the top of a building. It's similar, you know. And so, to get into the Fifth Amendment ramifications of this, it's just notable to me. First of all, everyone remembers the Miranda rights from TV. You have the right to remain silent. Well, people don't ever really listen to that. They're not. I always found it funny when I was a child and I saw that on TV. I thought that the police were telling you to shut up. You know, no. What the police are telling you is they have to warn you that, look, what you say can be used against you. You have a right to be quiet, and sometimes it's very beneficial to just be quiet and not say anything, okay? In this person's situation, you know, a desire to join what can be described as a terrorist organization, it's probably not a good idea to tweet that information. But more to the point, simply taking and moving along someone else's content can now clearly be determined to be sort of adopting it as one's own. And although there's the lawyer part of me that can say, you know, no, I don't necessarily, did he adopt it in whole? Not necessarily. He you know, maybe he just saw a headline and retweeted it. I think that's a tough argument to sell. If you retweet something, you know, I don't just retweet things willy-nilly or repost things on the internet willy-nilly. It's usually something I feel some connection to. I just felt like this was something that should be brought up. It's something that people should just be aware of sometimes, you know, and I'm not saying everybody's out there doing something illicit, but if you take nothing else away from this video, sometimes it's just a good idea to be quiet. And in this digital age, there are these ramifications under the law for the things that one may be doing online that they may have no idea what the ramifications will be. In some, as they noted in the article, you know, this announcement that RT does not equal endorsement, it's not good enough. You know, well, at least from the FBI standpoint. Now, to be clear, just because the FBI views a retweet as endorsement does not necessarily mean a court will. That's for a judge and a jury to make a decision on. But that being said, I think it would be foolhardy to just make the assumption that simply putting up RT does not equal endorsement is going to let you get away with retweeting possibly inciting, insightful speech, defamatory speech, calls for violence, all of these kinds of things. Those aren't necessarily protected by free speech. And what's clear from these cases is simply retweeting is viewed as a furtherance in a way. I think it is viewed as a furtherance of the underlying message or a conveyance of the underlying message in its own right.